Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Unnext News Radio podcast, your news source for all things unexplained. And now, here's your host for the Unnext News podcast, Margie K.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Unnext News. I'm your host, Margie K. We are here every Friday evening on the Unnext Network, and I am glad that you joined me this evening. We have a lot going on at the X. I would like for you to take a look at our website, unnextnetwork.com, because we have a magazine, we have special events coming up, we've got workshops coming up, and of course, all of our great digital radio shows and YouTube shows. If you are into paranormal, this is the place to be. So I'm just saying, go ahead, visit the website if you would. My special guest this evening, returning for a second visit, since we had some technical difficulties last time, and we really did not have a chance to get into a lot of things that I wanted to talk about, is Judy Whitewolf. She's my good friend for many years. She's a psychic medium, and within her natural channeling abilities, she sees past, present, and future. Being a medium, Whitewolf is also vividly shown deceased loved ones and pets that appear around you during your channeling, and I know she sees other things too. Whitewolf teaches classes, she mentors, she's done videos, taught and studied her interaction with orbs over the last decade. Orbs and UFO sightings have proven to establish contact to her origin star beings and other existing intelligence. Her natural gift comes as seekers, healers, star beings, and warriors seek out Whitewolf. She remains in service 24/7 for the greater good of all, and I do know that to be true. Welcome to the program, Judy.
Thank you, Margie. It's such an honor to be here again, and I had such awesome things from viewers from our last show, and we all are definitely into paranormal. And one of the things I would like to tell everyone is trust what you're shown. That is where your knowledge will grow from. And as you learn to trust that, you will be shown more and more and more. And as we all know, contact is picking up on a regular basis at all levels. Not only are there more UFOs, but individuals are getting contact from their beings of past, present, and future. And there's two recent, this morning here in Mountain Home, I had a text, and the two that saw and got pictures were on their way to work about 8:25. And this was over Lakeview, just outside of Mountain Home. And when they went home tonight, they texted me just before the show that they saw 3 in the same area. So a lot is happening, I'm sure, wherever you're at. And I would like to tell you about, I think we got into it a little bit, but my granddaughter lives in Kearney, Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
And in December, her door cam captured, I think it was 5 frames of an object moving very fast, very large. And so we're still doing study on that. She had turned it in. We told Margie K, and we went ahead and are going through the investigators. And first of all, some thought it was the moon. Well, wrong direction. It was not a
Yeah.
full moon that night. And
Yeah.
so don't let anyone say, oh, you didn't see anything or that's nothing. Follow up trail cams or door cams. That's pretty awesome to have a UFO trigger that. So there's something special going on here for contact from the beings that are driving that ship or piloting that ship to Megan. Is this something for all of us to grow from? It absolutely is. Is it part of a picture that goes with all the collecting that Margie Kay is doing in our greater Kansas City area? Absolutely. That's how important it is for each of you to be alert, pay attention, because when it happens, and the more that's proven, we all grow spiritually. We seek for more. And the Hopi Indian said it the best. We are the ones we seek. Is that our upward lineage clear to Creator? I believe it is. I feel I carry that contact. It's grown over the years. Each of you, there's no two of you alike. You each have your DNA intuitive. And any sending line that goes out also receives. You've got all of your beings around you, whether it's your guides, whether it's your deceased loved ones, whether it's deceased, the ones that have walked Earth cross over. They don't go away. They just cross over.
Mm-hmm.
Our origins haven't disappeared. They still are producing. That is, if their home planet still exists, or they have moved to another place where they can live with the air and minerals and what is needed for them. And that contact that we're having is very, very important for all of us. Jen, I know we've talked about interdimensional, and interdimensional, I talk about traveling dimensions, which I can do. I can travel through to wherever. I've done it. But I have also seen within dimensions, interdimensional. And it's like, I'll give you an example. We were out in New Mexico, close to the Colorado or the California border. And my little dogs I had taken out late. And of course, in RV parks, you keep them on a leash. And I'm standing there waiting for them to do what they need to do. And I looked up and oh my gosh, it was like the stars were right down above Earth, very close. But I was seeing the air or the space very clearly between the stars and myself. And I looked and I could see something moving, and it was like it was on, there were pieces of velvet together, but these lights, these UFOs, were just moving so rapidly. They were at a descent, and I was so shocked by what it was. I was amazed, but I just stared. And of course, no camera or phone on me or anything. So I went inside, and it was probably around midnight or so here, but I went ahead and called my mentor because he traveled and was up late a lot of times, and he answered right away. And I told him, I said, "Oh my gosh," and I explained, and he says, "Tell me what you saw." And I laughed because I said, "I thought you'd tell me what I saw." He said, but he was one of the greatest mentors ever. And he always forced me to use my mind and trust.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I said, "I think I see like a landing for airplanes, only it isn't airplanes, and there are like runways clear. I mean, it was wide, and one right after the other come in." And he said, "That's exactly what you're seeing." And he said, "In the area out there where you are, there is a well-known landing spot, refueling spot." And he said, "You're getting a glimpse of it." It was awesome.
That's awesome.
That was
is
a
awesome.
interdimensional. I've only experienced being in that interdimensional type like that about 3 different times through my life. You know, it's one of those things that it would be nice and say, "Oh, I can do this anytime I want to." Well, maybe some can't. That isn't part of what I do. But
Yeah.
within channeling, it always amazes me. And this happened just a couple weeks ago. I was channeling for this awesome young woman, and I always scan the body first. And I had to laugh. I could hardly get past her body. I was seeing the ocean, and it's just like I was there in it. But anyway, I finally got her body scanned, and she's given me permission. I'm not using her name, but she's giving me permission to share because she feels it's important for others to hear also. But I started, after we got through the body, then I started working up along the side, and there was it was a jellyfish, and it was just beautiful. And I'm looking at it, and I see the beautiful ocean. And when I come around on the right side of her, this beautiful mermaid, it's just like I could reach out and touch the tail. And I've seen like seahorses, small seahorses,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, you see things about mermaids, but this mermaid, that tail was wide, and it come up and across. I could see her from the backside, and her hips were probably about 24 inches or so wide, and it was a thick body. And it was the scales and the color was a rich salmon color. Not only is she alive, she's existing within our world. That's pretty incredible when you really stop and think about it.
Well, that is. Now,
And
was this a guide for this particular person?
this is what her beings was showing us for her greater good. And I'm going to tell you something else about her. She, when I said to her, I said, "What is this thing with you and the sea and a mermaid?" And I don't know if she had tears, but she told me, she says, "I've known since I was born. I've known." And I said, "Well, my dear," I said, "I've only met 3 like you in my years of channeling. And their upward lineage is absolutely, their original beings are mermaids." And I said, "There's not a lot of you here, but I said, the part of you that your beings, I said, that's a strong part for you. The other thing was, when I scanned her, the inside, she's deaf. And when I scanned her, her ear was fully developed. The inside of her ear was developed fully for fish. That's the kind of inside of ear she had.
Oh
Oh,
boy.
is right. And at that time, I had not seen the mermaid. She also told me later on that she had contacted a bacteria in her ears, and antibiotic was absolutely not clearing it up. They went on a summer vacation. I forget which island it was off of. She swam in the ocean. The salt water was her healing.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that would explain why a lot of people don't feel like they belong, or they're always looking up at the stars and saying, where is my true home?
Right,
I
Margie.
started doing that when I was 15 years old, but I know a lot of people who've had the same experiences, and they just don't feel quite right. They just feel like something's off, like the Earth isn't their planet. Is that because they've just recently come from somewhere else?
I don't know about the recent, but there's also other people that they don't stay long because they just don't fit. Some can make the adjustment, some cannot. Sometimes I've not been told why that is, but I've seen it through the years. Yes.
What other types of beings have you seen when you've done channeling for people?
Oh my gosh. A lot of times their medicine animals will come in, and the medicine that animal brings to them, I read from the medicine book, and there will be words that will absolutely fuel them, and they say, oh my gosh, that's me. And it fits. The magic that happens when people understand the medicine they get truly is a healing thing for their journey. It's very important. And no matter what part of the world you are in, there will be animals there that you will connect with. If you're drawn to do this, I know it has been a real learning, strong point of my journey and where it's taken me, because seeing is believing. Your heart can tell you things, and other people say, oh, I don't think you saw that or something. Well, it doesn't matter what somebody else thinks, and you can't judge them, because what they haven't seen or experienced, they can't talk about. They don't know. But
I agree.
If you have experienced and you find your trust and your truth, that will grow. You've had a lifetime of it, Margie. Your gifts are in so many different areas, but you've trusted, you've been nurtured in that, and you've grown in it. And that's very important for new seekers. The first thing they may see is they may see that UFO. But I was at a trade show up in Iowa, and this guy, he had to really work through a crowd, but he came straight to our booth. And he said, I don't know why I'm here, but I'm here at your table. And he said, what is that? And he pointed directly to the Bojai.
Uh-huh.
And I said, I can tell you about the Bojai, but I said, will you tell me about this huge elk standing behind you? And he looked at me and he said, I would be glad to. He said, years ago, I was in the service in Germany. And he said, one morning I went out. He said, I was by myself and the timber was very quiet. And he said, in the road in front of him, he saw this elk, this huge elk. And he said, it just held eye contact with him. And I said, I want to ask you about the elk. Did you see it walk away or did it just disappear? He said it disappeared. It never walked away. I said, you saw a spirit elk. I said, elk is very strong medicine for you. And then I went on to explain other things. We became friends. He called later for channeling. Yes, he did get the Bojai. And you never know what you're going to see, but when you see it, you trust it 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many people would have said, I think there's an elk standing behind him? Maybe they would have, but you cannot dismiss what you're being given to share. I mean, like Kina,
Yeah.
dear Kina always said, what good is our knowledge if we keep it inside and don't share it?
True. That's very true.
Others need to grow.
Mhm.
And usually after a channeling, your life changes. Spirituality grows. Awareness definitely expands. And, that's always my prayer and my words for all of us. May your awareness expand and your spirituality grow. It fits for everyone.
Do you often see extraterrestrials around people like you would the spirit animals?
Yes, they'll come in channeling. And a lot of times when we're channeling and I start the look out around the side, it'll be mainly I'm shown it in the nighttime sky, no matter what time it is we're channeling. But when I look around them, I'll be shown the nighttime sky. And I know then that they have had contact. I usually know how recent it's been. Some have had contact since they were small, never talked about it. But it doesn't change things. Once there's contact, there's contact. And with the people I channel and the ones that have show me the ship, or they will show me the actual contact. If it was like at night and I can see off the porch, I'm shown what the person is seeing, and usually about the age the person is, and if they're alone or if they're in their bedroom, and I usually know like where the window is, what has appeared to them, or what comes in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the awesome thing about the gift. If you can share a vision or a happening with me, I can see what you're seeing. And usually when the two of us go in, that will expand if the seeker is seeking. But it happens for their greater good. That's what their beings bring to a channeling, is what is healing. It's for the heart. and it's for their greater good.
That makes sense. And we are up on a hard break. We will be back right after these messages. Join us for a paranormal tea party, February 18th, 2023 at 2 p.m. Central Time. Ladies of the Paranormal will discuss their investigations and best cases, even their own encounters. Register for this free event on Zoom at www.unxnetwork.com. We'll see you there. Are you thinking about purchasing a wood-fired heating or cooking appliance but don't know where to start? The new book, Wood-Fired Heating and Cooking, will guide you through the process and make the decision much easier. Find out about wood stoves, wood-burning fireplace inserts, masonry heaters, cook stoves, brick ovens, and more. Learn about operation and maintenance, buying and storing wood, even how to make your own charcoal. A bonus section includes delicious recipes for cooking in a wood-burning oven, grill, tandoori oven, or smoker. The wise homeowner, prepper, or homesteader will have the ability to heat their home with wood when the power goes out or to save money on increasing gas bills. Wood-fired heating and cooking is available at Amazon. Visit www.woodfiredpub.com for more information. That's woodfiredpub.com. If you've ever wanted to learn how to remote view, take the Remote Viewing Workshop. Learn how to view energy fields and even inside the human body and on a microscopic level as well. View past scenes or events or locations anywhere, even faraway places. We all have the same exact physiology, so we can all remote view. Visit unxnetwork.com for more information. Welcome back. This is UNX News. I'm your host, Margie Kay, and we are speaking with Judy Whitewolf this evening. Welcome back, Judy. Judy is one of the best psychic mediums that I know, and she's been doing this for quite a while, and she's got a lot to say. Tonight, we're kind of focusing on UFOs and ETs, so that's the main focus, but you're going to hear a lot of other things too. So stick with us. Judy, you were talking earlier about, we were talking before we got on the air about the number of people who are having experiences with star beings as of late. And I've noticed an uptick in sightings as of late. Do you think that is really happening? And if so, why?
Oh, it's definitely happening. And it's been stepping up for, oh gosh, I would like to say the last noticeable, probably about the last 7 years. You know, people would say, well, you know, this is going to happen. It was happening. For those of us that do the work and experience the beings that trust us enough to share. That's a hard part, because I believe a lot of people are having the experience, but who are they going to tell and share it with without somebody thinking they're having a problem? It isn't true at all. And I think our beings are more open and receiving than perhaps any time since we started populating this earth. I think it's an important time in earth beings' history to connect with their original beings for the greater good of the earth. Not to get into a lot of political now, because each of us carry knowledge for that contact. You don't need an outsider. You don't need a book. You don't need somebody to say, well, this is what's happening or what you're seeing. The question is, when something appears to you, it's not, what is it? You know what it is. Ask where it's from. Use your telepathy. Receive that. I've got many people that are doing that now because they've gotten over that initial fear or whatever with contact, and they can ask, where are you from? Who are you? They can be shown telepathy because your beings know how to communicate best with you, that you will not be afraid. And where your frequency level is, to accept how close they can come and what they can share with you. And the longer you do this, the more your frequency expands. It expands, and it also expands up and down, but it expands sideways. I have no idea the huge numbers of frequencies, but when your beings are wired into you as you are to them. Any signal they can send, you're already on the radar. And I don't even know if they call it radar. That may be that's not part of my talk. Yeah. Frequency is my talk. And I know, or I think I know, my seeing and gifts, everything, frequency makes all things possible in our journey.
Mm-hmm. We've got a question in the chat from Emmy. Who are the beings you come in contact with when channeling an individual, and what is the relation between the beings to the channeled?
Any beings that are within the channeling belong to the person. I meet them for the first time when I meet the person.
And she asks, who are they? Who are these beings?
Well, who are they? It's different for everyone. The majority of ones I see are guides, deceased loved ones, upward lineage, deceased loved ones. I've seen up to easily 7 to 8 generations, but I have seen up to 13 before.
13 generations in the past?
Upward lineage, from birth, your mom, your great-grandmother, on and on and on up. They line up on either side of you.
I don't know if you can do a remote look real quick. Chaley says, could you please tell me if I am Lemurian?
Lemurian is not your greatest part, but you do have some Lemurian.
Okay. All right. Well, if anybody else has any questions along those lines, go ahead and post them there.
Yeah.
Because we do have a few more minutes in the program. Judy, your knowledge is extensive on a lot of levels. What do the Native Americans believe about the star beings? Where do they think they come from? And a lot of times you hear about particular big visits by the star beings, where they will visit an entire tribe or they'll make themselves known. What can you speak to as far as that's concerned?
Well, I can speak to my personal experience, and I go back through to the Mayans and to the Palladians. That is my direct line. And there's different Palladians, and there's about 7 different places in the Palladians. I can show you the one that my origin is at. I've listened to leaders from other tribes on spatials. Some I've talked to directly. They're very spiritual. You know, everything in our world has 4 different colors. Everything, every living thing. For humans, there's the red, the yellow, the black, and the white. Out of that, the red man is known. Their gift is spirituality and contact.
Mm-hmm.
I know that others have it, but I can only speak to what I have. I know that the yellow man is known for the brain, the science, the math. All of that is a gift. So, without getting into that too deep, the spirituality and the telepathy, the visionary, I see in gifts also. I'm seeing crystals also. That is a gift, but we all carry that gift. If you take the time, you've got constant contact with whomever you seek in a crystal, whether it's a crystal ball or a clear. I've seen amethyst do the same thing. So spirituality is there. And when man first came, the medicine of the animals helped, but listening to their people of origin, because anytime that let's go to the Bible, the biblical side. When people talk, where do they look? They look up in the sky. They always look up. You don't see them looking down, digging in the ground for anything.
Mm-hmm.
They know their beings. It's spirituality is the key, the guide. And it's up to every human to decide to be in service to the light or the dark, because it is what it is. People go where they seek power. I'm in full service to the light. My origin, I know that the contact is through the heart. That is where the contact, that golden lifeline goes on.
Mm-hmm.
It's It is what it is. I've lived a lot of years and done a lot of work, and I don't teach from other people's books. I know that a lot of people, something they've learned 20 or 30 years ago, they hold on to it like it was their truth. If that author was to rewrite today, in this day and age, and all that their heart has experienced since then, they would be able to enrich and bring us up to the now.
Mm-hmm.
Each of us have that ability to go directly to origin and find out anything daily, fact or fiction. And if it isn't fact, then you just walk away from it. It doesn't have to be your truth.
Yeah.
That's
James
powerful.
asks, what nation and clan are you?
James, I have a unique past, and I have been given, I carry 2 clans. My main part is Cherokee Nation. My 2 clans that I am in service to is Bear and Wolf. I also carry Chippewa.
Got a lot of comments here, so we've got a lot of interest. And
Well,
it's you carry a certain vibration and knowledge.
I do. I'm named White Wolf. That was my given name by Creator. With that comes a lot of gifts and teaching.
Do you have the feeling that there is more contact now from the star beings than in the past? And do you think we're on the verge of something big? Because a lot of people I speak to feel that way.
I do too. When you say on the verge of something big, that is always in front of us, whether it comes this year or it comes in 30 or 50 years. There is no timeline. I think it's sooner than that we will see far more. I mean, we're growing. It depends on the humans, I believe.
Mhm.
And I know one of the things I would like to say, there are so many people that live in fear every day because you'll see, oh my gosh, we've got 23 days. I saw this. Just release yourself from that kind of fear, because conspiracy, timelines, even in channeling, and that's direct. Let's say that someone says, when am I going to die? I'm shown that for them. But there's things that people need to understand on that. You have I'm just going to use an example. On that person, you have the opportunity to live until about 87 to 90. But you've got 2 opportunities to cross over prior to that if you choose to take it. There's 5 different times. I think some may have an extra one in there.
So that's true for everyone?
I think it's a good guideline. I see it as truth most of the time, but I do think there have been exceptions just because of the person and what they chose to finish. But usually at birth, if it's just too much, then the person goes back home. And the other time is when you just get too old to do anything but give up. You just go to bed and quietly you cross. That's the beginning and the end. And there's 3 times in between that you're going to have an opportunity to go. And it's usually you'll make a decision within a split second or so. Sometimes it's just a split second. I've seen it go, like a couple days or something. But people can ask that, but the human can stretch or change at any given point.
Interesting. And we could probably get into another hour talking about near-death experiences that
Oh my
people have
gosh.
had and making their choice. And
Those
then also,
people are always given a gift, Margie. They always come back with something so special. Go ahead.
I've also heard of, and this has happened to me, where an ET will save your life. Do you channel, when you're channeling for people, have you seen that in their lives?
No, I have not, Margie. They may not have known, but I have not seen that. One of the ones that crossed over, she just laid down on the seat and didn't realize what was happening. But she interacted during the time on the other side. I thought it was deceased beloveds, but it could have been her star beings. I've seen star beings that look exactly like angels. That's why I always ask when somebody says, "Oh, I've never seen a star being." Really? Well,
Yeah.
there's a lot.
Super high
to that.
vibration.
Oh my,
beings.
yes. And love. They give off love, and they're yours. It's like a family reunion. I've never known. I can't say I've never known fear, but when we're talking about star beings, the ones that I have come in contact or went aboard a ship, I'm not allowed to remember very much aboard ship.
Okay.
You know the reason why? It's harder to stay once you're aware of a lot of things.
Yeah.
But they've always been loving, knowledgeable, and visions. I'm given a lot in visions.
Yeah. Well, we've got about 45 seconds left. So, any final words?
Oh, trust what you see. Trust with your whole heart. And really have contact with Margie or myself. If we can be of any help for you to research or follow your gifts, try to you'll find the negative people that do not follow your knowledge, your growth, your spirituality will just kind of ease out of your life by choice. And you will create new friends and beings that share and are in search of what you are.
That's very good advice. And I was also wrong about the time. We do have a few more minutes. If you wouldn't mind answering a few questions.
I will answer anything your people want to ask of me. Just
Okay.
make sure that they want other people to hear the answer.
Oh yeah. They know this is public.
Yeah.
So Chaley, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. She asked a question earlier about being Pleiadian, but now she says no, she meant Lyran, not Lemurian. So are you getting any information about her?
I don't know about she's got a lot of blends in there that are not a lot of what I see. That LY, what did she put in there? I had not heard of that before. I have no idea of those beings.
Lyran.
I have not interacted, not to my knowledge.
Yeah, I haven't either, and I am not seeing that either for her.
No.
Yeah.
For her seeking, I would recommend that instead of reading books or maybe following others, to truly seek one of her beings that she could connect to, the greatest one.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be easier for her at this time. Okay. Is this the next question?
This is from Elsa. Can I ask the origin of my beings? Where are they from?
Rather than doing it on a show, Elsa, you can seek your beings. You've probably seen them in vision or interaction. That is better to follow up through a channeling, just because of the questions you're going to ask following all of that.
Mm-hmm. What would you suggest people do in order to have contact with their star beings and guides?
Well, their guides, they've got contact every day with their guides. Centering down and asking the guides to show them something. Pay attention to the gifts you may be getting, a feather, something that is out of place that shouldn't be there, and then let it move slowly from there. And as for the star beings, you can call them in or call ships in whenever you choose. That is choice. When you are ready for it, that is the time to be doing it.
Got another question in the chat from Elsa. Have you both ever channeled for each other? Has anything big come from that?
Yes, and it always does.
Oh yeah. Many times. And I'm reminded of the time I was at your house in Tightwad, Missouri, spending the night, and all of a sudden this blinding white light comes in the room through the closed shade and wakes me up about 3:00 in the morning. I sat up and I looked around and I thought, oh no, you're kidding me. and I did not get up. For some reason, I didn't get up. And then in the morning, I told you about it. And you're like, yeah, they're here all the time.
Well, I've told you things like that. And you said, but did you get a picture? Did you get up? And it's like, no, just acknowledging and knowing. I went back into a sound sleep. But Margie, one of the things that, remember when I was down at the Crystal at mine at
camp.
Mina. Okay, board camp. Mm-hmm. And you had to go home. You knew what I was going to experience, but you didn't tell me ahead of time. And I think that's when we had the huge ship. There were 7 of them that had came in that night. And I was gifted that part out of the spaceship.
Yeah.
That was fuel. And Orville said, do you know how few of those are in our world? And it looks like a crystal that has been struck by lightning, such power.
Mhm.
Just, it's a unique piece. I keep it in my medicine bag.
All right, Judy. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you, Judy, so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I really appreciate it. And we'll do this again sometime. Okay.
Anytime you call, dear. Thank you so much. I love you, Margie.
Love you too. Well,
All
this is
righty.
Margie
Good
Kay
night.
with Next News. We'll see you here next time.